we're back.
What's up everybody, Mobby Nerd here, and this is going to be a very different video than what I normally upload. At the time, this is probably my third and or fourth take. I stopped counting because this is a topic that I've teetered on talking about for months. And even after recording and talking about it, I just was not happy with what I recorded because I rambled, which I'm starting to do now. So let's get to the point. I'm making this video in the attempt that I can help at least one person out there who is struggling with high-functioning autism. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. Some of you may think this is blatantly obvious when you watch my videos. But yes, at a young age, I was diagnosed with high-functioning autism, specifically Asperger's. I was a quiet child, and now I'm the person you see today. Take that as you will. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about autism. And for those of you that don't know this, it's a spectrum. People can be on the high end, the low end, and everywhere in between. That's why the symbol for autism has always been a puzzle piece. It's not the same for everybody. That being said, what works for me might not work for everybody else, but who knows? Never hurts to try. So, for most people who deal with autism or Asperger's, it's all the same now. Going outside isn't always the most ideal. Barbecues, picnics, going to the park, yard work. In my case, my old job at Kroger's, cart corralling. In the summer, in the winter, I was okay with it. But once it got warmer and the bees came out, nope city, my dudes. Nope city. I've come to find that a lot of it has to do with my insectophobia, which I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I still will swap the hell out of some flies, nope the heck out of some bees. I said hell and heck in the same sentence. Fight me. I just don't like bugs. But I've learned that most of it is the sound, the buzzing. I don't know if it tricks me out. If I don't know if it's a bee or a fly. I just don't like the sound of buzzing. I don't like it near me. It sets me off. So, one little life hack for me has always been, let me just do this right, headphones. Now, if you follow me on social media, if you ever see pictures of me, every now and then you'll see a picture of me with headphones around my neck of some sort. Whenever I'm in a stressful situation, I find that music helps. Because one thing that is super, super hard to explain to people is that when you're in the spectrum, when you're stressed out, even when you're not, when you just have time to yourself, you kind of go off in your head, you know? The best way I can describe it is like daydreaming. Really, it's about the same thing, you know? Sometimes, some people have different ways of going about doing it. I like to juggle. That's the best way I can describe it is. That's why I'm good at juggling. Never really took lessons for it or anything. I just like to toss things around and catch them. I don't know if it's a texture, if it's a sensory thing. That's what I like to do. But I found that music is a good substitute for that when you're in a place where it may not be as okay to just go off and juggle something. It cuts off your senses a little bit, so the sound of buzzing doesn't bother me anymore. Again, this is what works for me. May not work for you, or it might. I hope it does, because it's a good way to get around the hurdles of doing stuff outside, especially if you have a passion for something but you don't want to be outside to do it, like gardening or something. If you like to garden, throwing on some headphones will make it immensely easier. The second thing I have found is this just changes the game for me for some reason. I don't have any right now, but gloves. Another part of the autistic spectrum, I guess, it's sensory. You have a heightened sensitivity to sound, touch, taste, smell. There are certain things that if you don't like it, you don't like it. Everybody has their bubble. That's just normal. But when you're dealing with that sort of thing, I found that gloves also help out quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I'm still learning different things that I can get around that were big hurdles for me as a kid that are super easy to do, but it's throwing on gloves. Handling anything you don't want to touch becomes immensely easier if you have gloves. But I found that even other things like moving stuff, lifting things, I've always had this problem, and I noticed it when I took gymnastics, believe it or not, is there are certain, when you're lifting something up, I don't like the feeling of stuff rubbing against my palms. I don't like, I got poor grip strength, all right? Like I can't, doing pull-ups and stuff, it's not that I can't do the pull-ups, but I found that feeling of something like putting pressure on my palms, I don't like it. It's unideal. As a kid, I could never do the monkey bars or any of that sort of, or that sort of thing. Anything that involved pushing more pressure on my palms is probably why I have noodle arms. But hey, working on that. You can laugh at me, it's fine. I laugh at me all the time. But wearing gloves made things like that way easier. It eliminated the problem altogether. What I'm getting at, what I'm trying to say is, people will tell you that it's impossible to do something if you're in the spectrum, that you can't do it. And that's not entirely true. Sometimes it could be as simple as finding ways around it or to cope with it. Little hacks, I'll call it. That's what I call them anyways. Little hacks. Another, and I apologize, this isn't scripted, but I feel like this is flowing way better than my first attempt or my second attempt at talking about this. Another thing on the topic of talking is just that, holding a basic conversation. Let me tell you what, if I don't know somebody, if I don't have similar interests with that person, it can be damn near impossible for me to hold a decent conversation with them. My biggest fears have always stemmed from long pits of silence between topics when you're talking to somebody. And this is something that's such a big issue with me that it even happens when I'm talking to my family, my brothers. I find myself digging deep inside to find any subject that will stick. And it turns into conversations that are just everywhere because I'm trying to be relevant. I don't know, I can't explain it. I'm sure you can relate. This is a problem that I'm still working on. This is a problem that makes talking to a camera in a room even very difficult. There's nobody here. And yet talking to myself in an empty room is difficult. No way around that, whether you're autistic or not. I'm sure that's not easy. But by exposing yourself to social situations, it can become easier. I started the YouTube channel That's Random and a couple other side projects a long time ago, kind of for myself. I didn't outright know it, but
Hey guys, sorry about the sudden shift in recording, but my camera for some reason decided to take a crap on me halfway through this topic. But what I was getting at was, I started That's Random as a means to kind of break myself of this stigma that I don't fit in by facing it head on and just doing weird things. And in doing so, I learned that people really don't care. I made a lot of friends by doing that, just by coming out of my bubble, and slowly but surely, became more open to social interactions with strangers. But for the sake of the video, because it stopped recording and I got to charge my camera, what I want to say is, you are you. No matter what anybody else says, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not a freak. You are you. Just because you approach things differently doesn't mean that you're inferior to anybody else. And trust me, I know. These are thoughts that cross my mind every night. But we have to remind ourselves that these are just doubts. They're normal. Everybody has them, autistic or not. We can overcome them. You are you. You are not broken. You are not a freak. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Thanks for watching. Hey there. Thanks for watching my video. This channel is kept running thanks to these awesome supporters on Patreon, where you can pie me in the face. I wish I was kidding. Anyways, if you like this video, then maybe consider a subscription, or maybe leaving some feedback in the comments. I always read them.